Rightio, I'll start that one again. In the summer before my mum died, I remember visiting her between chemotherapy sessions. She was standing in the kitchen making peach jam. In and out of chemo, weak as a twig, and still she made jam, because the lovely uber-ripe peaches of the garden couldn't possibly go to waste. Years after her death, visiting my parents' house, I discovered dozens of jam jars in the cellar, Mum's last jams, left where she put them, because my dad doesn't even like jam, he prefers honey. I remember standing in the cellar holding one of those jars in my hands, and it was one of those memory moments when things become clear. So here's the next poem called Jam Making. Jam making. Fragments of liminal luck stuck in last year's honey. This the dew of distant yesterdays, still warm to the touch. Amber sun burns stronger, waterproofed by jars. My hand shakes, holding the compound interest of our past summers. Nothing's ever truly gone. Licking the sticky sweetness off my finger tips the balance. Now, I have no idea why my video does what it does. I hope it'll be okay. Sticking with food, I do like to write about underrepresented produce. I wrote a poem about a potato, another few about brambles. Here's a poem I wrote about onions. Yes, onions, underrated, taken for granted, often overlooked, but they do make us cry in the most beautiful, liberating way. So here goes. I love onion tears. I love onion tears. Their source always clear, undisputed, undiluted, matter of fact, self-explanatory, not like sadness tears, silly sausage tears, confused confession tears, overwhelmed panic tears, angry frustration tears, worst of all, simple teary tears attacking at will, never mine, out of the blue, the turquoise, and even the yellow. I love onion tears, know exactly when they'll begin as I stand in my kitchen, knife in hand, permission to dissect, cut deeper, sever and separate. No metaphors here, no mirrors, no trapdoors, just the relief of explicit clarity, invitation to lean into unhurried abundance, enjoy the purge, savor, even celebrate salt from the faraway places of my soul. I love onion tears. Now, I use poetry to ask questions. I also use poetry to find answers, not so much in a factual way, more of a lyrical essay. The next poem was published in the Journal of Expressive Writing in spring last year. The title, Ask Me. Ask me. Ask me what holds the coast together. The moon mostly, pushing the wet sand back where it belongs, grain by grain, only taking what she needs and leaving the rest free to roam. Crests of generosity work wonders day and night. Salt, love, empty shells, especially the broken ones with their infinite edges, fjords of remembrance, the frosted smooth faces of sea glass, tiny rainbows of loss, the translucent tears of hope, undersized pebbles weaving in and out blackest of rocks, boulders of grace, the spray, the spit, the grit of determination. These are the paperweights keeping the world in her place. Add the fickle beauty of thrift, sending up pink rosy globes of dawn, of futures to behold, dreams far beyond the possibility of a horizon. Then, don't forget the dense grey-green tufts of marram grass, standing guard with spiky blades, strong as swords, roots matted, steadfast clusters of our past. Ask me, what holds a soul together? The answer is pretty much the same. Now, very rarely I do try and write a love poem. My life is full of love, so much so that occasionally I forget it's there at all. I want to share 2 love poems with you. The first one, for my husband, is called The Art of Sitting. The art of sitting. On your waterproof poncho, folded out flat on the beach, touching distance to the sea, we laugh as we sink deep and deeper into March-cold sand. On a wooden bench, side by side above the bay, clumps of early daffodils at our feet, our faces heliotropes, lids closed, I anchor my hand in yours. On rocks, between lichen and loss, topping the secret land between tides, we stare at the bright soul blue of antiquity, like 2 lighthouses, beacons, waiting, waiting. See from 3 angles, our hearts' signals weave in and out of vistas, wind, sun, waves, no intention of leaving. We've arrived at a beginning, the art of sitting with my love. Now, the second poem I want to share is about my son. He's 16 now, and he was acutely embarrassed when he read it, his face red hot. Still, he smirked. Eventually, which for a teenager is about as good as saying, I love you, Mum. Here goes, a love poem for my son. Love, or elephant. My love for you, non-negotiable. I was yours long before I felt gossamer fingers, toes, stroke my soul from the inside out, and even after that midwife proclaimed upon closer inspection of my pregnant belly, it's either a horse or a train. She didn't quite get it right, son. You are magnificent. The only possible version of what could have been, without the slightest doubt. Arrived early, instantly filled a ginormous gap I didn't know I had, and now I remember my strength every day with the stubborn resilience of an elephant because of you. You taught me well. You came here knowing. So, from love, I take you over to hearts. I have a theory. I think our hearts need to be broken a good few times in order to become fully functional. I think of breaking as an act of positive disintegration. This may be true, or simply a story I tell myself to make sense of life and feel slightly better about my emotional shipwrecks. The following poem is called Breaking. Breaking. Occupational hazard for plates, bones, souls. Persistent habit of disintegration. My history in pieces. Breaking. Necessity for hearts. Useless pumps until shattered, dispersed, divided, repaired. Breaking. Inevitable. Healing. The difference. So the next poem has been selected by the Edinburgh Literary Salon for publication in the upcoming print anthology with the title Gatherings. It's about breaking and healing, and basically about memory, about how we tell our story, about a day trip to the seaside we did with my parents just a few months before my mum got her cancer diagnosis. It was one of those perfect days that we took for granted until they were gone. Family gatherings. Before cancer declares war on your blood, we take you out for a day on the beach, not the Bahamas, Jamaica, not even Spain, just Troon. Imagine that, Troon. A picnic basket and a thermos flask. Sheer stubbornness on a cold day in May. You can't believe your luck. The Firth of Clyde, your America. I hear you giggle, giddy with excitement. The sea, the sea, the sea, you rasp, and your smile flutters across oceans. Wind blows your thinning grey hair into a dreamy tuft of angel delights. Sand in your shoes, salt on your coat. You play hide and seek with the tide. You win every time, gain grit and spit as you beckon the crests to come closer, then run, 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 laugh like a naughty child. You pick up shells, pebbles, frosted sea glass, until your pockets burst with remembrance. We sit, wrapped butt tight in our jackets, watch as you touch worlds for safekeeping. Do you already know how much we'll need your warm fingerprints on found treasures from our day on the beach for future reference? Limpets now rest on my windowsill. Broken muscles, rocks still echo your smile. Now, my mum died just before the pandemic hit. It took over 2 years before I could visit my parents' home in Germany again. The next poem, How Ghosts Are Made, was published in this year's open book print anthology, I Give My Word, and it expresses how I felt being in that house again for the first time without Mum. How ghosts are made. Keep these windows closed, not a pinky's whip, not an eyelash, not even a lazy eye's wink. Don't allow the soul to escape. Let her settle into threadbare carpets, forgotten nooks and crannies, take up residence where the body can no longer go. Keep these windows closed. We don't need the new, the fresh, the breath. Those days are gone, gone, exhaled and done. Each speck of dust, a magnificent fjord, caretaker of souls, embracing the invisible. She's still here. Keep these windows closed, closed, please. Now, months later, well, years later, I started to feel different about keeping Mum's things. I wrote a sonnet about it. It's called 3 Years into Grief. 3 years into grief, I can sleep. I still wonder how much boxed up stuff I will need to remember you, me, lives, a childhood spent in my cousin's clothes and 70s wallpaper. Orange, not my thing. I try to hold on to time, letters, photographs, pretend I can pull you right back by keeping shoes, that picture you drew in your hospital art class. You asked for Rembrandt's Night Watch, but settled for cows. I've become the curator of your museum. What was yours, now treasured dead weight, collecting dust. 3 years into grief, I sense you in the light of the sun, solstice rain. You howl through my soul like a storm with your stale breath. Now, I'm a linguist, and for a long time I taught and thought that I could understand language and how it works by clinically dissecting it. Then, of course, I discovered poetry and found that that was a much more useful way. Here's my poetic appreciation of words, a poem with the title, Some Words Are Boulders. Some words are boulders, monoliths, immobile and hard to circumnavigate. Love, one of them. Death, another. A presence, absence, your choice. Some words are blue, taste funny and stick. Thus, one of those funny blue sticky things. Forget, difficult to shake off. Trust me, I tried, still here and stronger. Some words hold hands, accompany versions of me for a day, a season, growth spurt. Excellent companions with surprisingly reasonable demands. A little space on that page, a moment, my breath. Words like peregrination or fjord, haphazard and accidental. Some words are boulders, blue, funny, sticky, accidental friends. Some obnoxious, borderline personalities, others caring, kind, some hurt, some heal, all of them out for adventure in permanent impermanence. Some words, a dance, a dawdle, a daring dream. Now, when it comes to the creative process, my guess is as good as yours. I wrote a haibun about how and why I write. It's called Maybe That's Just What I Want to Do. So maybe that's just what I want to do. I might as well begin by saying, I don't know. I follow crumbs, consonants, These strong, stubborn columns that keep vowels in tight cages like wild animals. They don't behave in predictable ways. I don't know the ancient, the guarded, the sacred. I follow sounds and rhythms, beat and bait, for hook, line and sinker, simple souls that can't help but speculate. Keen, always eager to add to the list of dawns, dusks, undeserved magic, and I forgive myself for not having done more than that. A life in words, pearls, wonderful coincidence, grit turned into stars. Now I want to finish with a couple of poems about places. The first one, Scairmhor, a Scottish Gaelic name meaning the big rocky reef or island, a landmark in Portree, the Isle of Skye, inaccessible when the tide is in, but only a wee scramble away when the tide is out. Scairmhor. To the left of Portree Bay, just metres from the headland, lies Scairmhor, the Black Rock, a proud barnacled boulder, pockmarked by centuries and protected by the sea from unwanted intrusions half of the time. I walked to the skerry at the lowest tide, stepped from stone to stone, balanced on slippery seaweed, and played hide and seek with the carefree licks of the Atlantic, hungry for more. I didn't get my feet wet. As I stood on the highest, the blackest stones, I wished I could reach the dark rocks in my heart just as easily, nimble in a few confident strides at the right moment of flow. But my heart is not tidal. Now the next poem will be the bookend of my collection. It's called A Shingle Beach in Staffin, a Landscape in Three Scenes, and it was the first poem I wrote for this collection. I wrote it in the summer of 2021 during a visit on the Isle of Skye, and I realised that it was the start of something. Funny enough, it's the one poem I've sent to many submission opportunities and competition, and that has never been selected or won anything. Make of it what you will, it's my favourite, so here goes. The Shingle Beach in Staffin, a completely award-free poem that the author loves very, very much. A Shingle Beach in Staffin, a landscape in three scenes. 1. A stone's throw, clack, to boldly split the shingle beach into wholesomes and broken ones, click, clack, until the work is done, no stone left unturned. Where will I land? Clack, a stone's throw, jagged half-stone, so to be recrafted, rounded by wind and waves. 2. I sit on the darkest grey stones as the sea strips the willow, blackens this beach in her wake, then retreats noisily, a messy eater, licking, clicking, clacking, lips smacking, every shingle a click, every other a clack. Greedy white tongues dart for my soul, this broken bone of a stone that weighs tons. Crests mark their territories. I watch waves circle my feet in a hurry to get to the feast. I watch my inners become tidal, pushed back, forth, washed, spun. I watch brittle bitterness crumble and slip through the shingles back into the sea, free, with the softest click, clack, as though it belongs. 3. I take a stone from the beach where my grief seeped into the sea to mark the occasion. A simple choice. You, black rock, you make yourself known. You trip me up, then have the audacity to fit inside my angry palm. You, smoothed by grit, the patience of past. What can I do but take you home? Now I guard you like a dragon egg. I touch, hold and hatch the stubborn fearlessness of shingle. Wait for your heart to break the silence. Thank you. Now, if I've got another 2 minutes, I would like to read my poem, What's in a Year, just to get us, well, to sum it all up nicely. So this will be my final poem. What's in a year? 12 full moons, most of them mist. Clouds always find me at my fullest. 12 firsts of the month, and I wonder, why do we start with the boldest jump? Out of default, I breathe, hiccup, shipwreck, acquire scars, subtle like stars in a distant night sky. Laughter comes and goes, leaves precious fault lines on my face. I learn to love chasms, crevices, the black holes in my heart, this resilient crabbit muscle with the memory of elephants. I live in many calendars now. My soul resonates in these echo chambers of dates. Year 3 after Mum, year of healing. Am I allowed to feel grief as well as relief that cancer died with her? Year 2 of a pandemic, my hopes, small masked avengers. I cope, don't ask. Year 1 after my proud independent dad broke, then got shipped and slipped into a care home to sit, stare at walls, waiting to eat, drink, repeat. Year of anger. He's still here though. We chat every day. Year of gratitude. Year 52 in my bold arthritic body, kaput, unforgiving, needy, temperamental, home. Year 22 in this adopted country, my second life. Will I get another? A perfectly normal year of seismic shifts and continental drifts. Year of losing what I couldn't hold on to. Year of finding my new, slower rhythm of I can and I will. Year of searching for a much stronger voice to whisper my truth. 365 times I go to bed ready to shed skins. 365 times I wake up, still the same, or so I think, in limbo, wondering where all that change, adventure, and courage escaped to. And then I remember that we dream, always. What's in a year? Another chapter of my story, to be continued, now and here. Thank you.
Thank you, Britta. Thank you very much. It reminds me that those two numbers, waking up, going to sleep 365 times and waking up 365 times are fairly important, as long as they remain the same. Really enjoyed that reading. Thank you so much. And we're so glad that you found us. So thank you. And I know Mike, before we take a brief break, I know Mike wanted to say just a couple of words.
I do. Well, first of all, thank you. Thank you so much, Britta, for that incredible reading. Britta found us, I think, through Eventbrite online. And as Ken says, has been along to many Zoom open mics. Something struck me very strongly about what Britta was sharing. And that is just the connectivity of words and stories, right? So what's a human? You know, we're made up of words and stories and feelings and emotions and all of this stuff. And I just think that everything she shared, particularly the love and the grief that she feels for her mother, was so powerful and has something that we can all relate to. So something we always say about here at Words Out Loud is that what happens here is really alive. You know, it's human, and so is writing, so are words, and so is creativity. So I just wanted to recognize that and say thank you, Britta, for a wonderful reading. We're also very grateful. We wouldn't have known about you if you hadn't have found us. So thank you. We've got lots of readers to get through. Ken's going to gallop us through them all. But thank you so much, everybody, for being here.
I'm going to gallop us through them all. Yeah. But firstly, if you want to replenish coffee cups, drinks, please do that. We'll take 5 minutes, but we've got about 20 readers to fit into 40 minutes. So we will be not wasting much time. So that's fine. Please do that, and we'll be back in the room in a few moments. Thank you.
Easy peasy. It's like these are the characters.
Chat, Jennifer.
Yes, just a second. I'm typing out something for Britta.
Right. Hello. Welcome back. I'm back. Therefore, we're going. So we're gonna start with the open mic. Now, I just want to say quickly, as you all know, and I shamelessly stole the line from Phil Taggart. Those of you in California will know who he is. One piece to read. No epics. I mean it. And unfortunately, if you're on Zoom and you go on too long, we'll shut you off. But it's only, I know I am harsh. It's just it's a meaningless threat really, but it sounds good. So we're going to go, and as you know, those of you who come regularly, those of you who don't, this is the way it works. I'll call you up at random, whether you're in the room or whether you're on Zoom. If you're on Zoom, unmute yourself and then mute yourself again afterwards. So once again, big thanks to Britta. I still haven't heard whether Rosie and Teeny, who are on Zoom, want to read.
Oh yes, I sent a message, but I thought you hadn't seen it. I would like to read if it's possible.
Teeny, that's fine. I haven't seen the message, but consider yourself reading at some point.
I'll
Thank
read
you.
as well, if that's okay.
Rosie, you are as well? Blimey.
Yeah.
Okay,
go for
so
it.
now you're down, everybody's down to 1.5 minutes each instead of 2. Okay, we're going to kick off tonight. We're going to start, actually, we're going to start on Zoom. And if she's still here, I can't see her. Wheezy, are you here?
Yeah, she's there.
Where is she?
She's disappeared. There she is. There's her empty room. Wheezy's cafe.
Wheezy's Cafe, love it. Wheezy, you're up. All right, Wheezy, you're not up. You lost your chance.
Pick someone else.
I am picking somebody else. We'll go with, all right, let's start with Gudrun, please. I'm not having the best of luck, am I?
Here we go.
There she is.
Off we go.
Thank you, Britta, for that reading. Makes me want to write, which is always sort of a great sign. As you know, we had a lot of rain here, so this is called green. Carpet of grasses, robe of cranesbill, nod of oxalis, soothing after months of dust and brittle. In another poem, I might write lime or Kelly or even emerald, but now I just think green. Dappled under the sun, shivering up canyon slopes, brushed across my garden and meadow. Green, the kind that beckons Afra to toddle out into the soft lushness, plop herself into its depths. Her little hands tear and toss a glistening shower of leaves and blades. Back across the country, an old friend died last night, and I remember our joy finding the first patches of daffodils, tips of green in winter's barren woods. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Gudrun, and keep dry. Peg, please.
Thank you. This is titled Our Brain Out of Balance. The rational, reasoning, science neurons in our brain fly us into outer space. It can't explain why other lobules of the brain remain primal. Signal only destroy who or what is in our way. The eternal lust for power never advances beyond caveman's staggering heft to slay. Today, some smile as they murder truth with lies, then bang a wooden gravel at as the victor's prize. Science has no treatment for this disease of heart and mind. Are we doomed to ignorance, drunk on power, enablers of our own demise, war, drought, floods, fires, reality deniers? Temperatures rise.
Thank you, Peg. Thank you so much. And thinking that part of what you're talking about is consciousness, and that now apparently is quantized too, like pretty much everything else. I'm going to call on Anna from the room.
Hi everyone, hi Zoom people. Oh, this is weird, I can see myself. Okay. So this is a bit unlike what I normally read. It is a poem about love for the first time for me. And it's one that I wrote for/about my partner. Headlights dazzle as they dance down the hill, illuminating cracked and icy roads. Surrounded by darkness, they're bold in the black sea, like shooting stars all racing towards me. On each one, I wish to be in your arms again. Loud music pounds and sways right through me, travels in through my ears and out through my lungs. As easy as breathing, no matter the words. Whatever I'm singing, I hear only love, and a smile warms my face as my mind fills with you. Heavenly, into each other we merged, into the warmth, into our mold, into the space we carved out for each other. Like twinkling lights, our bodies danced, like headlights shine, like shooting stars, like music or magic, like we invented love, and it is only ours. Our hearts unfold and enwrap each other, whisper untold desires, a blazing fire. Glowing embers float up towards the sky like shooting stars, like traffic lights. A rush, a shiver down my back, I melt into your loving arms. Look up at you, I hold your gaze, hold my hand, we'll hold each other till we start to fade. Then like shooting stars, when we finally age, we'll dance across the sky together and think of all the ways we shone. Maybe one day someone will wish on our love to be just like us when we're gone. Thank you.
Thank you, Anna. Thank you, thank you. We'll stay in the room for the next reader, and I think it will be Piers, please.
The Odeon Cinema, Midhurst. Okay. The Odeon Cinema, Midhurst, 1959, now a supermarket, is where we saw Reach for the Sky, Battle of the River Plate, Sink the Bismarck, heroic war films. But the man who took us small boys to the cinema never mentioned his brother. Killed in action, Sicily, 13th of July, 1949. Thank you.
Thank you, Piers. Thank you. So many movie houses in this part of the world are no more for whatever reason. So we'll go back online now, and I think we'll invite, please, and welcome Angela. Hey.
Hi, thank you. I was going to read something really long, and then now I'm going to read something a bit shorter. It's called The Burn, and I wrote it roughly around this time last year. A mass of splashing over rocks and stones at low water levels, like frozen fairy people trying to be heard, speaking in language that I can hear but not be sure to understand. What sounds like happy baby gurgles, maybe cries for help. At high water, most of the burn is eerily quiet, since stone people have drowned. Only the weirs make a frothing, hissing sound. The verdant fronds of hemlock, poison, 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 water dropward, submerged in the middle of the flow, magnified by water optics, both frozen and waving in their fluvial grave. The banks full of mud and rotten plants from last year, and small shards of green cutting through clods of soil, making me wonder, what will they be when they grow up? Thank you.
Thank you, Angela. And I hope you come back. Come to our next one in February. So I hope you will. We'll stay online, I think. We'll stay on Zoom, and I'll invite Jean, please, to unmute yourself.
Good morning, everybody. Thank you for your wonderful poetry, inspiring. And I'm going to read from a long work. Well, I'm not reading long, but it's from a long work, which is called Postmortem Buffet. Kind of the conceit that dead people are still alive, and it's 5 sections, and they take place in different graveyards. So this is from the first graveyard. What poems would be revealed if the title were The Graveyard of Beliefs? From the Dead People's Theater, performance art has erased common sense. Greg Abbott's Texas, death is wild and punctual, shows up before time. From the dark side of the moon, Jane's husband lays lilies at her new grave. Since her final goodbye, Rose Stern begins to see things that aren't there. Jane loves the lilies. Her husband leaves at her grave this mention of life. On JR's tombstone, to live in beauty is to live in the divine. In the graveyard, sycamores harmonize when wind snakes through their leaves. Thank you.
Thank you, Jean. Thank you so much. Lovely to see you. We're going to come next back into the room, and I'm going to ask Luca, and welcome back.
Hello. This poem is about breaking patterns in families. And it's thank you. And it's called More Than Half Your Body Is Not Human. More than half your body is not human, and it is monstrous. Human absorbed by non-human. Cells breathed in, consumed and changed into something even you can't bear to witness. Look at yourself in the mirror. Look how your skin is blotchy in the harsh bathroom light. Suddenly, all your imperfections, there, sharp and needle-like. I think of his face, his angular face, our faces, millimeters from each other, our knees touching. How our voices drifted into the gaps like smoke, barely audible. How we could have just talked all night, lying in the dark, vampiric. Now I'm changing. Now I'm monster, or maybe I was monster all along. Monster before the light bounced off his face in that old church, before my lips met cold, murky glass and something sharp poured down my throat. Long before that moment. Those cells sit in the dark depths of my bowels, microscopic colonists, spreading up, moss growing over my bones, non-human, barely breathing. She was barely breathing, not breathing. In the dark when the phone rang and it was hard to come up for air. That was the moment. It is still hard to come up for air. All these non-human cells embedded into my skin, sharp and needle-like, convincing me that I am a monster, shadowing my face millimeters from his, starting from my bowels and up into my womb, imprinting into new, possible, fragile life. I look into the bathroom mirror, look into my human eyes, and pray that it stops here with me. Thank you.
Thank you, Luca. Thank you so much. I think we'll have one more from the room and then we'll go back onto Zoom. So Nigel, please. I know you were just about, he was just about to eat a bite of brownie or something, but I stopped him.
Pardon me, there's no sound.
Oh, sorry, shall I start again?
Yes, we couldn't hear you.
Okay, I'm sorry. The Owl and the Pussycat. The Owl and the Pussycat went to sea in a beautiful pea green boat. They took some honey and plenty of money, all wrapped in a £5 note. The owl looked up at the stars above and sang to a small guitar. Then that's wrong. That's right. I've gone wrong. I've lost it. I've lost it. I lost the flow. Sorry. Thank you. You think I'm a lovely pussy? Oh, lovely pussy. Oh, pussy, my love. What a beautiful pussy you are. You are. What a beautiful pussy you are. Pussy said to the owl, "You elegant fowl, how charmingly sweet you sing. Oh, let us be married too long we have tarried. But what should we do for a ring?" So they sailed away for a year and a day to the land where the bong tree grows. And there in the wood, a piggy wig stood with a ring at the end of his nose. His nose, a ring at the end of his nose. "Dear pig, are you willing to sell for 1 shilling? Your ring?" Said the piggy, "I will." So they took it away, were married next day. But the turkey who lives on the hill. They dined on mince and slices of quince, which they ate with a rusty spoon. And hand in hand, by the edge of the sand, they danced by the light of the moon. Danced by the light of the moon.
Bravo, bravo.
Thank you, Nigel. I was going to remind you, if you're in the room, please stand so that you can speak into the mic and so that the camera on the laptop can see you. We'll go back to the Zoom now and welcome a new reader. And it's a delight to see him. Marty, please.
Thank you. This is not a poem, but a piece of creative nonfiction. He certainly never deserved what was done to him. No one does. Taller, yet thinner than his 14-year-old classmates. Jet black hair, black rimmed eyeglasses. The top button of his white shirt always fastened so tightly that we wondered how he could breathe. Dark trousers that were never quite long enough. White socks and shiny black shoes. Joseph Stilesi. Smarter than every other kid in our chemistry and algebra classes. In fact, the smartest kid at Wilson Park School. He would raise his left hand with these long, thin fingers and answer every question. But then he would continue with additional details that would leave us not impressed, but angry. Angry that he was always getting perfect scores while we struggled. Angry that our teachers seemed to like him more than us. Angry that he knew so much and we didn't. And when he answered the teacher's questions, always correctly, he did so with a soft, slightly high-pitched voice, an effeminate voice. Effeminate, a word that we never used in his presence. We chose other words, and they were written with black permanent marker in large letters on his green locker. Large black letters that Mr. Sal would try unsuccessfully to erase with a bucket of ammonia and a stiff brush. Words that would be seen by Joseph and every kid who walked along the second floor hall. And yet, it was only Joseph who would read what was written on crumpled pieces of paper and stuffed inside his lunch bag when he wasn't looking. Words written with that same black permanent marker on the inside cover of his incredibly organized notebook. It's been over 45 years, and yet I still think of Joseph from time to time. I think of him when I see a skinny kid running away from the school bus with the bigger boys chasing him until he finally reaches the safety of his home. I think about how I did nothing to help Joseph, but rather laughed along with the others. How it felt better to have the focus on Joseph and not on me. Joseph Stilesi. I wish I could see him again and tell him that I'm sorry. Thank you.
Nice, Marty. Thank you so much and welcome. It's great to see you. Great to meet you. I hope we'll see you again. We're going to stay on Zoom, please. And I'm going to invite, I think, let's go to Scotland. Teeny.
Hi there. Lines for winter. You will go on walking, no matter where you find yourself. Dark snow, dark cold. Tell yourself what you know. Tell yourself that you love what you are, even with the cold chilling your bones. No matter what, you survived. With hands held up to the sky, screaming, you survived. With face right down on the cold grey earth, you survived. And somehow, from somewhere, you found the strength to look up and find the light. And you opened your heart to the warmth, and you renewed your bones and mind and continued walking, continued being, continued breathing. I do my best to love me because I am a fighter. I love breathing. I love life, no matter how many times it has brought me to my knees and then some. And you know what? I can still see the brightening sun and watch the petals of a delicate flower subtly dance in gentle winds. I can still feel my mouth turn up in a true smile, and my arms can and do shake the shackles free. I still live and I still love, no matter what.
Thank you. Thank you, Teeny. That was great. Thank you so much. We're going to stay online on Zoom for one more. Jennifer, it is you. please.
Hi. Forgive my hair. It wouldn't obey this morning. And I would like to read this for you guys. It doesn't have a title, or if it does, it's the first line. Aaron said, "I think you love him." Aaron said, "I think you love him so that you can't love anyone else." And I laughed it off at 18. I hold those words in my hands like a mirror or a pool of water for waking my eyes to the reality of you. I think I'm finally done with hiding, claiming my heart is already half full, as though I had less to give. My elephant heart, I have held it behind a curtain, the great and powerful Oz, too frightened to be seen. Now I wonder, seeing the masquerade, if I am ready to step forward into intimacy where I hold nothing back. I want to expand, I want to grow, I want to touch the sky and ride that atmospheric river, connecting heart to heart, the way a child rides a slide, no hands on the railing, but up in the air. Behind your name, I peek up towards that flow, that sky, a child playing peekaboo, with the understanding that the world of love will still be there, patient and true, when I open my eyes. Thanks.
Thanks, Jen. Great to see you. Thank you. We're going to come back in the room. I'm going to ask Emma, please, come up.
Good evening, everybody. I've been leading a funeral today for my friend's mum, and afterwards I was thinking about my own mum, and I remembered writing this poem a couple of years ago when she was sick. She's still with us, by the way, but this was a touch and go moment. It's called "The First Time Ever I Saw Your Shit." How quickly we came to this. 1 minute you were plaiting my hair and forcing me to eat Brussels sprouts, teaching me how to grow peas in neat little rows, and planting seeds of poetry in my soul. Tiger, tiger, burning bright. And now here you are, withered, frail, and staring sullenly at the food I have prepared for you, complaining that its gloopy texture and bland taste is making you feel ill. How much like the beginning is the end? Tables turned, roles reversed, blah, blah, blah. All these cliches I didn't see coming. Fact is, the food you eat will eventually be shit out into your commode while I sit in the room with you scrolling through Facebook on my phone and chatting about the weekend ahead. And miraculously, I will clean it out, not gagging, not really minding as I empty your excrement into the toilet, looking at its shape and form despite myself, looking for signs of your health. Helping you back into bed, you insist you will be better soon, able to go to the toilet by yourself, that holy grail of independence. And silently, we both marvel at the hurts and betrayals we have managed to forget to arrive at this moment, where I am able to do this with a quiet kind of kindness, without resentment, and a steady stomach.
Thank you, Emma. Thank you. A reminder of where we will all end up. Okay, I'm now going back online and I think onto Zoom, and we'll go to Oregon next, I think. Bob.
There we go. Well, I've been pulled
sorry,
this way.
Bob, sorry, before you start. And just to say to everybody, Bob will be delighted to have Bob as our featured reader in, is it April, Bob?
I think so. Yep.
I think it's April. So Bob will be our reader in April, but here he is now.
Well, I'm delighted to be your upcoming reader in April. I've been pulled this way and that way by different people's poems this morning, trying to decide what I wanted to read. I think Marty's piece really kind of, touched me. So I'm going to read this poem. The boy was taken back. The football game ended with boys and men in a pile, celebrating as I looked on from the sideline. A man rolled about on the ground with the boy, like a bear with its cub. The boy was scared, taken back to some other time and place, a place of fear and hurt. He responded like a hurt animal, recoiled, prepared to be hurt again. He was taken back to a terrible time when another man hurt him so. This time ready to protect himself. They were at once touching and separated. The boy in his pain, the man in his laughter. Disappointment loomed and then was gone, vanquished by the healing power of the hug, too strong to hurt the boy, while just right to exercise this memory to a land of bad dreams long past. A man rolled about on the ground with the boy, like a bear with its cub. The boy was scared no more. He was taken to a place of joy, laughter, and trust renewed. A place born of the man's goodwill, protected, where the boy could be happy once more. Thank you.
Hey, thanks, Bob. Great to see you. Okay, I think we'll stay. Trying to see who's there. Right, we'll stay on Zoom. Wheezy, are you there now? We called you earlier. You'd gone. Wheezy, you're on. You have to unmute first, otherwise we can't hear you. Much as we, whatever.
Can you hear me now? Can you hear me, you guys?
Yeah.
Okay. Imperfections. I'm glad I have a cottage full of imperfections just like me. Yet I stand stable, free. My kitchen's a tiny lab, concoctions blaze forth, random things thrown together. Satisfying keeps my energy up just like my art. Never set a fancy table, want people to relax. Love glass rings on tabletops. Reminds me friends did all that. Floors, scraped, spotted, drop a coin, it rolls away. Empathy for my uneven gait. My bed unmade, comfortable, rumpled. Took all last night getting pillows just right. Tossing with being human does demand a lot. Roof leaks now and then, could not be more like me. Paint, fading, peeling, both need moisturizers to fill the cracks. My cottage and me reflect on our imperfections, points to our inner comfort with ourselves. Thank you.
Thank you, Wheezy. Always good to see you. Thank you. We're coming back into the room now, please. I'll ask Rebecca to come up.
Okay, this is called Midwinter Poem, and it's written imagining the streets of Chichester at night. On Georgian buildings, gold lights glitter like brooches, theatrical jewelry against a black backdrop of sky. Old-fashioned lanterns hang above the street, but no flickering flame, only the continuous glow of LEDs. Fir trees perch on high walls, carry clusters of stars sawn off from their roots, a memory of pine forests within their heart. Slim bare branches hold tangled necklaces of beads glowing red and white. Traffic splashes lights across the ink-black road. Street lamps pick out a bronze light on the dark pavement like embers as silver needles of rain fall from a coal-black sky. Hands move slowly on the market cross. The darkness may swallow us, but we continue our circuit, gradually moving to days lengthening, light strengthening, out of the tunnel of darkness to summer heat.
Thank you, Rebecca. Thank you. And still in the room, we're going to ask Sue, please, to come forward.
I've now got a hello, everybody. Oh, look, there's writing on the middle. Oh, no, it's not. Oh. This one is called The Sunshine and the Rain. When he was dressed as sunshine and she was dressed as rain, their eyes met cross a rainbow in a sunlit, dew-dropped lane. The clouds, they parted briefly, gave forbidden love its chance, and rainbows formed around them as they came together close to dance. His light became full spectrum. Her raindrops sparkled bright in a kaleidoscope of color on an arc of pure delight. And true love ignited passion on that bridge across the sky, in that gilded golden moment before the color fades and dies. Then love is torn apart till next time, until the rainbow forms again. When he is waiting, dressed as sunshine, and she is waiting, dressed as rain. Thank you.
Nice, Sue. Thank you. We'll stay in the room and we'll invite Brett, please.
Hi. I was going to give this a long backstory, but I'm just going to dive straight in. But it's basically about friendship, I think. So we walk out along the viaduct. Every 10 minutes, seeing more intrepid customers flinging themselves into the valley below. We were jumping in numbered order. Scenes from old black and white films of paratroopers bailing out of airplanes came to mind. One girl, who I noted being particularly quiet on the way here, was all tied up and seemingly prepared, ready to go. As the countdown from her friends of 10 down to 1 reaches ultimatum, her knees bent, but her body froze. Another count followed, but once again, she was physically unwilling and unable to complete the procedure. She moved away from the edge and was removed from the process, a fragile mess. I sure felt my mettle would not let me down in such a way when the do or die second came. I was next. I downed my Dutch courage and miniature bottle of French brandy and walked the walk. Harness attached while seated, the final adjustments to the length of the cord were made according to my weight. All checks were made and I stood with help, my feet now bound together to many hundreds of feet of rubber cord. Shuffling towards the edge, the expanse ahead began to reveal itself. The happy-go-lucky employees were professional enough, but their casual manner, no doubt derived from many repetitions of the same routine, was disconcerting. As far as I was concerned, this was a one-time adventure, and my corresponding feeling of isolation was growing in strength. I stood on the ledge, arms stretched out like a bird. The countdown began, but sounded muffled as though behind a wall. Thousands of yards in front of me was a beautiful vista, a portion of countryside stretching into the French untroubled horizon. I didn't look down. Every ounce of my body screamed, "You do not have to do this." But my mind was strangely calm and accepting of the situation. To jump was a natural extension of mind over matter. The countdown ended and my bird took flight. My planned cry of Geronimo was fairly feeble because before I had a chance to take a breath, the staggering acceleration got a hold of me. The ground rush blurred my peripheral vision as a point of focus below raced towards me at unfeasible speed. The deceleration was equally forceful as the rubber cord did its work, and suddenly my head and upper body were immersed in the river below as I came to a momentary stillness. Now the elasticity of the cord pulled me in the other direction, zooming me feet first upwards towards the origin of the jump. I reached a zenith some 20 feet below the viaduct and managed to wave to the crazy people waiting their turn. Returning to terra firma was by means of a small boat into which I was lowered. Unfastened and free, I ran around like a lunatic, screaming nonsense. The powerful concoction of self-generated chemicals coursing through my veins in a riot of life. I was not only alive, but expressing it in a wild and uncontrollable way, an animal way, which was easily overlooked any sense of composure. My heart was bigger than my body. In fact, some kind of out-of-body experience took place where my very being grew to fill all space around. My soul was one with the beautiful nature surrounding me, and before I had a chance to shrink back into myself, I was sprinting. Not running or walking, but sprinting up the enormous flight of wooden steps back to the top to see Charles go through the motion of throwing himself into his unknown. Arriving just in time, out of breath, but still rampaging under the adrenaline and now lactic acid mixture within, I shouted out the count to see him descend and ascend the insane human yo-yo that is a bungee jump. There was more to come. Minutes later, Charles appeared by my side, his energy flowing as mine, and he had one thought in mind. Let's do it again together, in tandem. We waited for the others to complete their jumps in various and sometimes hilarious ways. Then we waited some more for a Frenchman, 92 years of age, who came to make the jump every year on his birthday. His composure, mixed with a sense of fun, was inspiring. Charles and I are standing, facing each other a foot apart, with an expanse to one side. Our eyes are locked. In his, I see a mortal fear set in a blank, ashen face that has nothing to do with anything except survival. We are hooked together on two bungee cords. His serious mien is reflected in my own, but I feel my face to be natural and relaxed. I have confidence, tranquility, and a hitherto unknown sense of inner well-being. Nevertheless, we are connected not only physically, but on some deep psychological level, and jump into the void simultaneously. All the way down. Whether this second adventure was a good idea, I don't know. But I know that man now in a way that few others can say of even their closest friends. Indeed, as we speed through London late at night on the way home, with Charles leaning his motorbike around the curves in the road, this way and that, I hold on to him with a bond like a brother. Since that day, when it's hard to express how we are feeling, whether it's fear or elation, perhaps when words themselves are not enough, it is a shared emotion between us that sometimes words are not needed at all.
Thank you, Brett. That's why literature works better than science in some events. In physics, we call that a damped oscillation. Okay, and you hope Robert Hooke and Isaac Newton were right. So I'm going to call next from Zoom, I'm going to call Rosie.
Okay. This one is basically about love, like all of my other ones, because I don't know how to write anything that's not romanticized. But yeah. Catch me staring, eyes soft, gaze in awe at her beauty. Like a deer will look towards the stars in a moment of unspoken, unseen silence. From a forest undisturbed by man, like a drop of water welcomes an icy shell. As the first frost of winter drags its fingers along the grass, the moon gives life to the few clouds surrounding, as though the sky holds a lantern, allowing me to view her. In the quiet intimacy of the 2 a.m. haze, when neither of us are asleep nor awake. And yet there is nothing being said. The words don't hesitate to exist here, floating in and out of cracks in the ceiling. Here, as of now, I hold my happiness in my hands. I wrap my arms around her as if, at any moment, the ceiling may take her too. Yet still, I feel the need to be delicate, familiarizing myself with her, the way she looks just in this moment, when all the street is sleeping and no outside eyes can see. Every night I indulge in this ritual, an event celebrated by no one but me. There we go.
Thank you, thank you. Okay. Tina, please, online.
Hi everyone. First of all, I'd like to thank Britta for a wonderful reading. Just really enjoyed it, loved her voice and loved her amazing work. So my poem is called Skylarks. I thought I heard a skylark that winter's day. Much too soon, I decided, as I trod through mist and frost. A thin veil of snow graced neatly ranged hedgerows. Cobwebs glimmered and sparkled in bright wintry sunshine. A satisfying crunch underfoot, I splintered as the small brown bird hopped amongst early snowdrops. No, it can't be, I thought, much too soon. A watery sky rippled against bare, naked boughs. White winter sun shimmered, lifting swirling mist as I walked through silver fields to the faint song of skylarks.
Thanks, Tina. Thank you. And lastly, before we get thrown out of Wagtail, on Zoom, we'll call on Gail, please. Thank you. And then.
Hi,
Yeah, yes,
thank you. Although I'm in Scotland, I'm from Yorkshire, so don't expect a lovely Scottish accent. This is called My Bed. Your large, familiar, undulating sheet-covered concavity welcomes me warmly at night and sometimes day. Now my hair has grey. There is no guilt in returning. You comfort and support me. No sharp condemnation, no moan or groan, no bitter recrimination in answer to my softly spoken words of hope, my loud, resonating snore, my silent tears that wet and warm the pillowcase beneath my cheek, wails of grief and anguish stifled by a hand or two. We share so many secrets, you and I. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Gail. Look, I would say if you're not on our email list and you'd like to be, please go to wordsoutloud.org.uk and sign yourself up. And then you'll hear about what events are coming up. But to tell us about what events are coming up, Denny, please, can you run up and explain everything quickly, because we're aware that we're going to be thrown out. Yes, I understand all that.
Okay, coming up, January 25th is Robert Burns night. So there's a Ceilidh at the chapel, Graylingwell Chapel, at 7 o'clock, and Words Out Loud has been asked to provide the poetry. Robbie Burns only, none of your own versions. On the 25th of January at 7, also on the 25th at 7:30. Is it
Janine?
Janine, I told you he should have read it. Janine Booth at open mic at New Park Center with Barry Smith. 28th of January is our first Words Out Loud, ta-da, first theatrical production. It's going to be marvelous, wonderful, called The Well of Lost Voices. It begins at 7:00 p.m. Buy your tickets at the chapel website. February 1st is the open mic at Wagtail, first Wednesday of the month. And then the next, I can't read your
The
writing
next
again.
feature in person and on Zoom, 15th of February. 15th of February, next feature in person and on Zoom, 15th of February, Crystal Salas and Nicholas Rayner. I don't know Nicholas, but Crystal Salas is fantastic poet. They're Californian poets, they're award winners. And you guys in California will love to hear it. So please come
And
along.
that's all she wrote.
And
Good night.
And that's all, folks. Good night. Thank you so much. We really appreciate everything you bring. Your readings are wonderful. It's wonderful to see you in person. It's wonderful to see all you guys on Zoom. It's fantastic. Keep it coming. Thank you so much. Bye.
Thank you, Ken.
Bye, everyone. Thank you. Thanks, Den. Thanks, Mike. Thanks, Ken. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you, everyone.
Back on the floor, and you take all your empties out so they can wash them up and clean them. Please.